Welcome back to Marion's World, everyone, and today's episode of the Stitch Journal, we're actually starting on the second half of the year, which is unbelievable, and I'm starting on the second part of the long strip of tablecloth that I'm using for my book, and I'm actually making you it's upside down, a slow stitch background that is going to have some flower embroidery. So I hope you enjoy watching this. I am choosing some fabrics just from my stash. All of the threads are just from my tangle, and today's just about layering up and getting the design ready for some slow stitching next week. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you at the end. It's hard to believe that we're starting on the second half of the year with the Stitch Journal, but here we are. And because I finished my first run across the tablecloth that I was using, I'm putting that to one side, and so that's there. And I just thought it would be a good idea to remind anybody who's wanting to do it or starting to join in or anything of the size of page that I'm making, because it's a bit larger than you would normally find for a stitch journal, I think. And it's 10 inches long, which is 25.5 centimetres, and it's 8.25 inches wide, which is 21 centimetres. And really all it is an A4 sheet of paper that I folded the end down to make it into a nicer size of a page, because I thought it gave scope for doing lots of different things. I didn't want to be constrained by a tiny page. So that's the page. I've marked out my second strip of fabric into my 6 pages, and I've ironed them. Now if you want to do individual pages, that's absolutely fine. You'll just need to add a seam allowance all around those measurements, because I don't need a seam allowance on the long edges because I'm using a folded piece of tablecloth, and it doesn't bother me working with a big piece of fabric. But if it does for you, then you know, just make it whatever size you want, it's fine. Anyway, I try and make the pages, the double page spread, sort of match in some way, which is why we have a bit of, I'll just move that over, which is why we've got a bit of textural work here, and then I carried on with the low relief tulips and sort of used the same colours. There's the blue and the pink going across. And here was, well, it was the colourful leaves, but this was all quite colourful. So for this one, I know this page is going to match in with whatever page I'm starting off for July, and so it definitely had to be flowers again. But I'm going to do a landscape for this page, and so the landscape's going to come together over the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks. And I very, very loosely sketched something out, and here's my sort of design sketch, which I know looks really messy, but basically we've got sky and the sunshine, some fields coming down, and then embroidery. And the reason that I've done it like this is because there's a lot of people really love to do slow stitching, and I thought it's another technique. It's another technique of a hand embroidery. It's another process of hand embroidery. And so I thought it would be nice to lay in the background using the slow stitching techniques, and then show that it can still be over embroidered, and use some beautiful embroidery to make some foreground flowers. And so that's what I'm going to do. And in today's video, it's all about layering up the background. I've gathered together absolutely all sorts of fabrics here. I've got printed fabrics from my quilting cotton stash that's left over from years ago. So these are all quilting cottons. I've got some printed pieces of fabric that was given to me at the beginning of the year. These ones, I thought that was a really nice one. Also this as well, it's got really good patterns on it. I think could be really nice to use. I've got some leftover denim from a denim shirt of my husband's. I've got wool from a cardigan sleeve. That's actually cashmere. Charity shop though. And there's just all sorts. There's more quilting cotton. And so I'm sort of going to curate it down and show you what I decide in the end. I've also got this, which is old-fashioned, sort of like wedding veil. Thought it would be good for clouds. And this, which is, if anybody knits and sometimes gets their wool sent to them in organza bags, that's what that is. Thought that would also be good for clouds. And I've got, yeah, my own eco-dyed fabric and also some leftover jeans. So I'm going to work out which bit's going where, and I'll see you when I've got it that far. So I've actually got the decisions for my fabrics, and the other thing I would say that I'm probably going to need, or probably going to want to use, is some fabric paint. So I think I'll be painting, and probably the only colours I'll be using are probably going to be a grey and a green, possibly a yellow, and that could be fabric paint, it could be ink tints, it could be just normal artist's acrylic paints. It won't matter at all, but I would think there's going to be some painting coming up, because it's all about expanding techniques and, you know, trying new things and seeing that, you know, stitching can be combined with other things too. Anyway, this bit of denim was about to be used as the sky, because I wanted to do something a bit more moody. And you know, when you see the rays of sunshine coming through the clouds, they're called crepuscular rays, and I just really fancied doing that type of a thing. So that was actually going to be the sky until I noticed this patch of blue here. So that is now my sky, and there's probably going to be some cloud over the top in some way, but that's not for today. And I've cut out some of fabrics strips, I've torn them like that. That's another one that was given to me in the same batch as this one. And so I'm going to start from really dark here, because I'm going for sort of a dark, moody, sunshine coming underneath the clouds type of a, that's what I'm going for. You can go for whatever you want, but that's, for me, that's what I want. So I'm going to put that there as if it's a cornfield, and I'm expecting, if you look at my picture, that the rays of sun are going to come down and light up that field here. So that's my yellow field getting lit up by the rays of sunshine. This lovely printed ivy piece of quilting cotton, that's going to go next, raw edge up again. And then this really nice piece is going here somehow. So that's my layering up. I will have a foreground fabric, definitely, but I feel as if I'm not going to decide that until I decide on the embroidery that's going in front. But basically, that's what I'm going for. So I'm going to start today and just get these fabrics onto the page, and I'll be starting with the sky, because I'm going to start from back to the front. I'm going to try and be using threads from the Tangle for this whole thing. That's quite a nice piece. And so there is bound to be, yes, I'm going to use this dark blue. Just pull out nicely. Oh, it's a long one. There we go. And I think I'll use just a single strand to get the fabric down on the page first. So this may or may not end up in the hoop. Probably the slow stitching part won't, and maybe the embroidery will, I don't know. And I think first off, I'm just going to get this actually tacked down so that I can then do something on it. Now, I know people now call this the invisible baste. I know it as prick stitch because my mum was a tailor. I was trained as a tailor, and she used to make men's suits and tailored jackets, and she always called it prick stitch, but I know a lot of people call this the invisible baste now. So I'm just coming up and I'm going to take the tiniest stitch and I'm going to hop along maybe about a half an inch. Hop along half an inch until I've got the whole thing on my page. In fact, I'll pick that up and maybe I'm going to pin it down. I don't like pinning them down really. I'll just see if I think I can manage. So this is nothing to do with the actual embroidery on the top yet. It's just getting fabric together. Now I've got this one down. I'll show you how I layer the other ones up. So I've picked out some various greens and a bit of blue from my tangle. I'm going to use them. This type of stitching is really good for using up the ends, and I've just got a bit of soft pearl cotton in my needle out of the tangle again. I'm just getting it all from there. And I've put my first piece of fabric in and I've just held it together there with the magnetic pins. And so instead of doing an invisible base here, I am actually going to stitch it on, and I'm going to use some little cross stitches. And I'm going to cross stitch all the way along. I'm going to do it quite loosely because I don't want it to look too set. And also I know that I'll be running out of this thread and I want to be able to put others in among it. So I'm just going to maybe do a couple together. And it's just a way of making sure that the fabric is attached to the base fabric. Now I'm going to make a bit of a space. And what it means is that I can use a few threads without it looking like I ran out of one particularly. And maybe I'll just come down onto my fabric a little bit. And I think you can just go with the flow and just bring your needle up wherever you feel you want to. And you can see that one didn't even get crossed. I'll bring it up to the camera. But that's all right. It doesn't matter. This is not a formal piece of embroidery. It's an enjoyable piece of artwork. So as long as I make sure that my fabric is stitched down, in fact I don't need to do cross stitches all the time. I can change whenever I like. Maybe I'll change now. Maybe I'll just hop along and hold my fabric in the other hand. And I'll just start and do a straight stitch over the top. And I'm just going to do them quite small because this is a landscape. They're in the background. I don't want to do anything that's too big or too jarring. I'm not trying to make them all the same height or the same size or anything. Just wherever I want. I'm going to just keep moving along. Maybe it's time for another cross stitch. I do like this type of stitching. It sort of lets you just go with the flow and be in the moment. And as you are in the moment, your brain's free to just create, and you don't have to think about it sometimes. You don't have to make every little decision beforehand. You can just put a stitch down, and that might decide you where the next stitch will go. I'm getting further along here than I thought with this green thread. I'll make that one into a cross. And I think I'll finish that piece off. Oh no, I can get another 2 stitches out of there. There we go. Into the thread jar. And I'll put another bit out of here on it. Let me try. That's too near. I'll put this little bit of blue crewel wool in, quite like that. So the crewel wool's in my needle, and I'll just come in from the other side, I think. And maybe this time I'll do some zigzag. So I'm going to go down across the join. I come forward, back onto the green fabric, back to the point of the triangle, and then a straight stitch behind to come forward. So on the back you get 2 sets of straight stitches. You go back to your triangle all the time, back to the point every single time. So forward with a straight stitch underneath, and backwards to the point of the zigzag. Forward with a straight stitch underneath, and back to the point of the zigzag. I really like that blue is just perfect for putting down against the sky. I think I'll just use this up doing the zigzag. I quite like that. Sort of gonna meld the green into the blue. I've been working on the birds lately. Can you remember anybody who's seen other parts of my channel and know I did all the stitched birds last year? And then I had a poll as to whether they should be in a book or on a wall hanging. The wall hanging won. And then I started to stitch them onto a piece of background fabric that I painted with Inktense. And it sort of stopped there because I got sort of a struggle with how I was going to finish it, because there was a space, because there were originally going to be a book and it turned into a wall hanging. There was sort of one space left on the wall hanging, and I thought, oh, that can be like a title. I'll put, you know, sort of Garden Birds 2023, or I'll make some sort of a title up, Marion's Garden, or... But once I started to pull the whole thing together, that just didn't look right. And I was thinking, I can't do that. So I actually decided to stitch another bird. So I haven't actually done the bird yet, but it'll be coming. It's going to be a tutorial soon, because I'm well on with getting the panel into a panel. In fact, the panel itself is now finished. It's just waiting for the extra bird and the method of hanging, which I've already worked out, but I can't do till I've got the extra bird stitched. So you might be expecting that soon, because that's what I've been working on when I haven't been working on these types of things. I've been sitting on a night binding the quilt and doing all that type of thing. It was just one of those projects that just got put to one side when I realised that I didn't want to put a title on it. Anyway, So I expect a bird. Okay, that's that bit of blue. Oh, see, that bit of blue's worked really well there. But I'm back to green because that's what I've pulled out. And I will use this bit of, that's 2 strands of stranded. Use that bit next. And I think I'll work back from here. I'll work from just inside this bit of zigzag. I'm just going to go over the top of it. Make some straight stitches in any which way that they arrive. And they can come back through everything else. I hope you can see all this, it's quite dark. I mean, like, it's dark fabric and a dark sky and dark thread. Sometimes I get a surprise when I watch the footage back and I think, oh, I wandered off camera there. But you get so much into your stitching that I forget to look. And I don't have one of those overhead things. In fact, I don't have much of anything. Right, there we go. It's coming along. I haven't done any crosses on this bit, just straight stitches. There will be some new stitches coming though on this page, definitely. But today's probably not the day for them. Virtually everything can get done with straight stitches, and of course cross stitch is one of them. It's a straight stitch, as was the zigzag. Okay, down I go and finish that bit off. And so I'm going to put this on because I feel as if the sun's rays are going to come down and they're going to look like they're lighting up this cornfield. I'll just take my pins off and I'll move them. So I definitely want this bit on an angle. I could cut that bit off there, it's annoying me. Maybe I'll just fray that up a bit more. Just take a few more pieces out. Just get my needle. Just make it even more frayable. That's easy. Oh, that looks nice. I've got a really nice edge on there now. So that is going to come down there. Okay, what have I got? I've got this one. It's a bit bright. That is a good one, but there's not much. Here's another good one. That's a nice one. Okay, I think I'm choosing. I think I'll put one of each of them in actually. That's what I'm going to do. I get a strand off each of these. Okay, so how am I going to stitch this one down? I think I'd like to do a proper running stitch to signify the fields. So let me just get it pinned. And I'm going to running stitch this down. I don't have to do all of the stitches because at the moment I just want to get the fabric landscape laid down onto the bottom so that it's ready to do everything else on. So I shall just running stitch along here. I'm going to keep them sort of the same, equal size top and bottom. And I think I'm using about 1/4 of an inch, so not too tiny. And I'm staying away from the fringe. Sort of staying about 1/8 away from the fringe. Just make sure that's exactly held where I want. So I can take my stitching there. This is something I want to do with my beach finds, I just haven't found the time yet. Sometimes my embroideries that do take a long time. That's what I like about them really, but it doesn't leave time for other things. Sometimes. Right, I think I'm going to come back along there. I've only just got on there, but that'll be fine because I've got the embroidery to do on this bit as well, so I'm not worried about that. I'm actually going to come back with another row exactly the same. Been trying to look for somewhere to go and stay in September. I just haven't found anywhere. It just probably ends up that I'll have to stay here, which might be all right. Last year it's when I went to do the spoons in Scotland, but so far I just haven't found the right place. I think I'm going to a nice show in August. So there's a Northeast Wool Show, if any of you are in the Northeast and are going to go to that. I think I'll be there on the Saturday. I haven't got my ticket yet though. And that's held in Newcastle, the race course. It was really nice last year, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I need to do anything more on that at the moment, so I'm just going to fasten that thread off. And I think the next one to put on, I'm coming down to the bottom quicker than I thought actually. So, I was wanting this piece on, so that could just be the sunlit patch. But maybe I'm going to miss it out. I'll put it down as a very narrow piece, because I definitely want this on the bottom. I think that piece of fabric's really nice. So if that goes there, maybe I just have this really narrow. Let me see. I'll tear it down. Maybe I like the curl on that. Maybe I can utilise that too. Maybe that. It looks like a little valley or something. Maybe it's that. What do you think? I hope you think that looks nice. Yes, I'm still putting the ivy in because I really like it. So, this is going to get put in with some, I think it's going to get put in with a bit of blanket stitch. Okay, it's going to get blanket stitched along. And I am just going to go in over the edge, just like a normal blanket stitch. I have to do it that way. It's me being a lefty. looks really dark on camera. Hope it's alright. Oh, I got it on the wrong setting. Again. Maybe I've got it on the wrong setting again. I'm going to just double check. Yes, it was on the wrong setting again. I'm so sorry everyone if that was really dark. My brain's not really been functioning lately. I keep forgetting everything. Stuff's just been getting a bit overwhelming again. And then I forget to change the settings. What can I do? So I'm really sorry if all of that's just been so dark you can hardly see it. Anyway, I'm back with blanket stitching along this edge. And sometimes I am going to go over the edge, and sometimes I'm going to go down onto the fabric itself. And then just let the edge be, you know, free. So it's quite a bit of just come as it goes. I don't know whether you'll be able to see that. I've gone along here, the top's come down here. I've got quite a long stalk there. Now I'm going back over it. I think I'm going to try and keep all the legs straight up and down. But other than that, I'm going to let the blanket stitch go where it likes. If it wants to hop up a bit, it's going to hop up now. I know it is. There we go. Put a couple close together there. And back down again. I'll take those pins out of the way. And I'm going to get to the end, put my final piece of fabric down for this week. Anyway, I hope you're going to like the thrifting video, because I think I'll be getting that done for next Sunday. Oh, that'll be the Sunday after this is posted. Yes. I hope I did get enough footage. I have got all sorts of stuff to show you that I got. One very interesting thing particularly. And lots of bits and pieces. I'll put this little bit of crewel wool in. You can use it up. Just looping around the back of the needle. Now then, I have to make a decision here, because I've got that sort of roll where the fabric actually rolled over when I ripped it. I actually quite like that. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to go over the top of it. I don't want to flatten it down. I'm going to running stitch underneath it so that I keep it down, but I keep that little frill. So I'm just going to tack underneath and hope it still rolls over. Yep, like that. And then I'll come back to blanket stitch at this end. So I've cut back the pieces of fabric underneath, so I'm reducing the bulk. I really like this little curled up edge. And so this is my last piece to put on, and am I going to put it on with? I think I'm just going to running stitch this along at the moment, because I know what's going to come on top, and I think I don't want to impact anything. This is just like an olivey mossy green. There's actually 3 strands in this, and I'm just keeping it as that. I think this is going to be another running stitch edge, because I know I've got quite a bit to come over the top of this, and so I don't want anything that's going to detract from what's going to come afterwards. So I am going to running stitch along this edge with this lovely green. I was thinking about making a whipped running stitch, you know how I like a whipped stitch, but again, it'll be too hard a line for what I know will be over the top. So a running stitch edge it is. I can go right to the other side, try and keep flattening out, make sure you don't pull any gathers into your stitching. Sometimes you want that if you're doing a piece that you want to have those lovely gathers in, and I definitely will when I do my beach find piece of stitching, but on here I definitely don't want gathers. I've got that one tacked down, and all I'm going to do now, I'm going to just use these few threads that I pulled out of the tangle, and I'm just going to go around on here. I want to start in at the edge and maybe just running stitch around. Nothing too thought about, just wherever the needle wants to go. I've finished what I wanted to get done today, which is to lay the basics of the landscape. I'm going to give it a press. I'll give this a press because there's a crease here, and I'll give it a little press with my iron. And I've cut out this bit of the jumper arm. It's just a jumper sleeve, and I think that is going to be my foreground, but I don't think I want to apply it yet. I think I want to wait, and so I'm just going to keep this piece to one side, and probably it'll go on near the end. So that's the base of what's going to be worked. So next week we'll be doing some slow stitching on all of this and getting it prepared for some embroidery to go on the top. I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I hope you're going to be inspired to do your own slow stitch landscape background. So I haven't really done much embroidery on this so far. I'll be doing more next week, especially just on the whole thing, I think. And then the following week or two we'll be putting the foreground flowers in, and there'll be some new stitches to come on there. And I just love the idea of that being like a break in the clouds and the sunlight coming through, which is what my idea was in the first place. But then it was just amazing to find a piece of fabric that actually had it ready for me. So I was very lucky there. So you might look through your stash and find something for yourself like that, and use some nice raw edges or fray them up a bit more, and see just how you can layer things up. Another reason why I was choosing that is because this is one of my thrifted things. But I got this at my thrifting the other week, and it's come from packets of tea. I don't know when, maybe in the 60s or 70s, but they're sort of what used to be called cigarette cards, and somebody has gone and got all of them and stuck them in the book, and I just thought it was really charming. It cost me 50p, and I thought it was lovely. So that was another reason why I wanted to do the flowers as a matching page to the flower wreath with the butterfly. And I think that's all I need to say to you today. Just thank you for watching, and thank you everyone for your support as I go forward well into my second year of YouTube now, which is just amazing. So thank you for watching everyone, and thanks for all your comments. Just keep them coming. I do get round to them. Sometimes I have a spell where I answer a lot all at the same time, and then it takes me ages, and then I have another good go at them. But so far I don't think I've missed any out. So just keep your comments coming, because I love to hear them, and sometimes they give me some ideas as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time when you're next visiting me in Marion's world. Bye everyone, you're all stars.